What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Steelhead Alley podcast. I'm Kyle, and as always, I've got my co-host Zack here with me, and today we're switching gears and talking all about the transition from summer surface action to fall fishing. Fall is one of those magical times to be on the water. The nights are cool, the flows are prime, and the fish are fired up. Brown trout get aggressive as they chase bait fish and gear up to spawn. Brook trout light up in their fall colors, and there are still a few late season hatches to keep things interesting. With the fall foliage in full swing, every cast feels woven into the season itself. We'll break down everything from tactics, approach, and fly selection to why fall trout fishing feels so different from any other time of the year. And of course, we'll connect it back to steelhead, because this fall season really sets the stage for what's coming next, winter steel. So settle in and let's talk about fall fishing. Now, let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Steelhead Alley podcast, episode number 3, talking about fall fishing, the switchover. I'm back with Zack, as always. Zack, how you doing, man?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Fall fishing, kind of your go-to. You excited for this one?
Yeah, this is it's a big one for me. Favorite time of the year.
It's like pre-Christmas, right?
Exactly.
So fall fishing, I'm with you, man. It is fun, and it's seasonal. It's temps. It's the aggressiveness of the trout, the color changes of the fish, the scenery in general. Then it's kind of like the build up to steelhead season as well. So we kind of get it all in fall. What kind of gets you going? Where do you start for fall mentally? The switch over from summer season, dry fly action, terrestrials, monitoring water temps. Theoretically, we should be in the better flows. We should be in the cooler nights. Flows haven't quite gotten there yet. So what do you think, man? Where you at?
Something about fall is just it's different. Maybe I get out at the beginning of September, and maybe I don't get out till the leaves start changing. The crowds kind of funnel out. All the fair weather fishermen, they're kind of leaving, right? There's just something about getting out that first time when the fall foliage is on. It just feels different when you're fishing. I have my reasons as to why I think that is, but I'll toss it back to you. Do you feel the change? Because I know I feel the change like almost instantaneously.
So I'm with you. I think for me, there's a lot of changes. And you know that smell when you get up in the morning and you smell the weather change? It's those crisp, cool mornings. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
So not only is it the idea of summer fishing into cooler temps, into fall fishing, I feel like it's even like physical. You smell it, you notice it. The leaves are starting to shift, colors are starting to come in. So you kind of get this whole vibe going, this feeling, like you said. And then that flips the switch in your brain, and that leads to a different mentality in terms of that fall fishing switch over from summer mode, moving back down underwater more consistently. Fish are moving back into their holding water, some of that deeper stuff. There's a lot to it. It sets up so much. It's the start of something, and I love winter fishing. So, you get this, it's the start of that. It almost feels like a whole new season, not weather, a whole new fishing season.
Yeah, for me, the comparison is always like going out in the fall and, like you said, experiencing not only the stream's physical changes, but then just the scenery in general. The leaves fall off. It almost makes everything seem bigger because the woods kind of open up. And to me, I equate it to that first time waking up in spring when it's a nice, warmer spring day and it had just rained. That smell after a rain. And the flows are going to be good. You know that the fish are going to be biting because you at least have that confidence that morning where everything seems right. I like waking up right after a rain. It just rained overnight. Everything's still wet. It just gets me amped up. Mm-hmm. That's for me that first time I go out and I get all those sensations going. But it's even more so for me. I know in the fall that I'm going to more than likely have a lot of the stuff to myself. And it's kind of just a peaceful thing. You're more at peace in the fall. It calms me down. That's what I love about it. That's the thing I like the most about it. Is it's a general calmness and there's a serenity to the whole thing. It doesn't feel like anything else is out there.
It's quieter to that point. Yeah. I think springtime is synonymous with fishing. That's when stalking occurs. That's when the season opens in Pennsylvania. So that's what people think of. So naturally, more people fish in the spring or fish a couple times, and then they're done till next spring.
And then when you get into summer, it's kayaking and swimming and all that stuff. And I like going to those same spots in the fall, and there's not a soul to be seen. And I know no one's going to be there for a while.
Yes, I'm with you. You mentioned the calmness of it. We were talking a little bit before we pushed the record button, and you said the calmness of the creek. I thought that was well said, and it's because there is a calmness to the water. There's a calmness to how expansive it kind of opens up. The quietness as the leaves are falling, you can hear things crunch if like a squirrel or something like that. So you're more in tune as well with that environment, which I think is kind of surreal. It's kind of hard to put into perspective, and you have to be in it. You have to in that environment and tune into it to really embrace it. And then you got all this balance going on, this calmness, and you strike it and you set the hook and you're into one and it just fast forwards and it all comes together. What else? Are you switching up? Are you changing flies? How are you prepping for fall? What are you doing? Hot collars, hot spots. We're in that mode. We're hitting October and now we're gearing up. So you're on the vise, getting your stuff ready. Where are you moving in terms of that mentality?
So the first time I go out in the fall, I almost have to convince myself it's fall and I have to switch up. So I'll start with things I would use on a spring day and I'll catch some fish. But then having a lot less success with those patterns that I use in the spring, I have to experience that failure to be like, oh, okay, it is officially fall. I have to change it up now. And my patterns stay the same. I'll throw orange, pink, hot collars on some. I'll throw a little bit more flash. But I have that stuff all the time. I wouldn't say I necessarily prep for it because I use that kind of stuff all year, depending on situations. If the water's dirty, whatever the situation is. So I always have it. But definitely when I'm tying up sporadically, that's my focus. A lot of hot collar patterns and a lot of flashier patterns.
When I say prep, I guess you could even look at it as like that mental prep. You kind of switch your eyes to a different part of your fly box where maybe that would have been the third, fourth, fifth choice or whatever in a different circumstance, but fall now maybe first or second. And then to that point, let's say you're getting ready to go out, and I know depending on the stream conditions and all that, we're just keeping it simple. You're going to your stream tomorrow. Everything looks fine. I know water's low. We know that, but let's say it's not. Do you have flies kind of predetermined? Do you have favorite like hotspots or favorite flies in that category? Or do you kind of change that mindset?
After that initial, like almost experimentation period or that period where I have to experience the failure of my tried and true stuff to then it is time to switch over to some eggs or start throwing hot collars and stuff like that. But once I get into that mode and I'm in fall mode, really a lot of times I'm throwing simple pheasant tail patterns and then again just throwing a hot collar on.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I will say I'll go a little smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I won't start with a 12 or 14. I'll start with a 16.
Yep, I do the same thing.
And lately I have been into the Perdigon game. I know last year I used a lot of flashy stuff, some Perdigon patterns that did well for me in the fall. So this year it's going to be a lot of Perdigons as my point fly and then some form of egg on top. Fall, I always have an egg on, no matter what. I always throw an egg.
I'm starting to realize I have an egg on most of the time of the year. There's plenty of times in the summer and spring that I don't, but fall, winter, early spring, I definitely have one on.
When you're not supposed to catch them on eggs, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, heaven forbid.
I can bring up 100 different instances of when, you shouldn't be throwing eggs and we catch them on eggs.
And that's just crazy. And I've been even higher on the egg idea. Maybe you go through a phase and you learn this impression that there's junk flies and stuff. If you tie it, if it's made out of some type of material that you tie and you trick a fish, it's a fly. But especially if it's an egg, you're matching a hatch in a sense. It's fall fishing, and we'll talk about spawning in reds in this episode, but I don't care what anyone says. If you don't have an egg on in the fall, in my opinion, you're missing out. And honestly, there's fish that you're missing out on. And I don't know about you, but there's a couple colors that I distinctly gravitate to for trout eggs, where steelhead is a lot more rangy, a lot more hot topic at the moment, very, very different. But there's a couple go-tos that I lean into heavy. Where are you at there? Colors, pattern in terms of eggs, and are you going weighted too? Let's jump in there.
Yeah, all my eggs are going to have a bead on them. If I would say anything about myself, I put beads on everything. I know there's a time and place to not, and I'd probably have more success if I didn't. But it's a confidence thing for me.
I like a lot of beads too, so I'm with you.
Junk flies and like eggs are one of the first things you tie because they're easier to tie. The material's easy to deal with. You can mess up an egg and it can still get wet and look like an egg.
Yeah, good point.
Then you fish for a year or two and you start talking to other people who fish. Oh, you catch them on eggs, junk flies, it's cheating, whatever they say. There's a whole bunch of stuff surrounding eggs and squirmy worms and stuff like that. To me, if it works, it's not junk. If it was junk, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, good point.
I think you hit a point, at least I did, and I know you did too, where eggs were a thing you didn't want to put on because it was a stigma thing, and it was, not real fly fishing. It's not a fly. It's not this. It's not that. But then you have so much success with it. Why would you not set yourself up to catch fish? I don't care what it looks like. I'm using it because I know it catches fish, and it's been proven. You'll hear that from somebody. You talk about throwing eggs, and you'll get some form of backhanded comment about it, or somebody will make a joke. But then you hit another point in your fly fishing journey, and then you start realizing that dude you admire in the industry that are really, really good or professionals, they all use eggs. At some point or another, they all do.
It's interesting. As you're learning, there's just so much information out there on fly fishing, and you just get inundated and you don't really know how to organize those things. So the more you fish, the better you get, the more confident you are in your own tactics and flies, and you kind of weed out that stuff naturally. But dude, squirmy wormy, eggs for sure, green weenies, mop flies.
Green weenies. And then look at that pattern.
Yeah.
At a certain point of the year, you have to have those.
Deadly.
Like deadly. I was a big one against green weenies too, because they look dumb. But guess what? They work.
And to that point, there's aquatic worms that are exact like chartreuse, man. It is exactly the same color.
How many times did you peel an inchworm off you and it's neon green? You have them crawling on, and they're everywhere.
In one of our limestone creeks a couple years ago, it was an aquatic worm, and it was like 3 inches long. Bright green chartreuse. It was crazy. And ever since then, I'm like, no wonder mop flies and stuff work on here. But yeah, there's a lot of baloney out there and BS in terms of junk flies. Don't use this. Be a purist. All this stuff. I don't know. If it's tied on a vise and it's matching something out there in some capacity, a worm, an egg, I don't see how it's not legit fly fishing. And to your point, that's not junk. Junk is not catching fish. Junk is a fly that literally does nothing for you. So yeah, I'm with you, man.
I mean, and if you wanted to, you could say the same thing about any mouse pattern when it gets wet. It looks like a wet sock you're dragging on top of the water.
Wet sock.
It works. So whatever works for me is what I'm down to use. So yeah, as far as get back into eggs, as far as colors in the fall, it's always going to be a dark burnt orange to red. Yeah. Pink, honestly, pink is hit or miss, but the color that I have the most success on is usually a dark sunburnt orange or deep red, like a roe color.
Yep.
Those are the ones that I key in on.
Yep, absolutely.
Again, pink can work. I'll mix and match too. I'll do eggs that are orange and pink. I'll do eggs that are red and pink. I'll do orange and red. So it's a lot of the times, though, orange and red are involved.
I'm with you. Mine's usually some type of orange, whether it's a light, whether it's a dark, it's a flame, something in that range. Every now and then I will switch it up with a chartreuse or something, but that's kind of if the go-to colors aren't working. Pink, yeah, I'm with you. I like pink more for steelhead for sure. I like chartreuse more consistently for steelhead, but I have caught them for trout. But yeah, I'm with you. The two-tone orange, or if it's a salmon, maybe there is a salmon orange, something like that. I do like an orange cream, a little more natural style orange cream combo.
I've also got into natural colored eggs too, almost like a cream color.
Yeah.
I've gotten into those in more recent years, and I've had success on those too.
For sure. So eggs mostly on top. I'm with you there.
Other than eggs, what's your first thing you're putting on other than an egg?
It's kind of like what you were saying earlier. I have a couple flies that I always use, but they're lower down the list until I get to fall and winter, and then they move up. I love kind of simple like you. I love a simple pheasant tail, but I love a hot spot collar, like a dark flame orange. Usually is my go-to for that. I've switched up colors in that, but that's my go-to. And then I like a hare's ear variation with an orange collar usually and some type of sparkle flash somewhere in there. Those are my go-tos on the bottom. And same thing, I usually downsize. I like to start with 16s, 14s as well. I stay away from 12s more until I get back into stoneflies and things like that, or like steelhead. Then I size up again for big stones and things. But those are my two. Pheasant tails, haresers, I like it very simple. Like it's almost like a flashy waltz worm in a sense. I've fished waltz worms a lot as well. Again, simplify it, go less variety for sure.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about is the change in the flows or the general change in the stream. And one thing that time and time again that I experience every fall is runs that I fish all the time or very consistently. All of a sudden, the big dogs come out. Maybe I've fished this run and all of a sudden I catch 4 in that hole that are 15 plus, or I'll catch a 20 plus, right? So do you experience the same type of thing where the holes or the runs that there's fish in them, but you haven't really stuck a big one? All of a sudden in the fall, now you're either hooking into or landing some quality fish in those runs.
Okay, so two parts of that. First, do you think the notion of fall fish, brown trout get aggressive and hunt? We know they get aggressive. It's that pre-spawn mentality. So, and we can talk into chasing streamers and bait fish. Do you think there's a connection too as well for the color orange? You hear people talk about they get this reaction to orange, or that fall mentality where they're out for blood almost. They get aggressive towards that color. Do you believe in that? Do you think that holds true, and have you noticed that?
Yeah, for sure. I do believe that to be true. In the fall, they're getting their feed bag on. It's ready to be winter. They're not going to be moving as much. When the water temps are dipping too low, they're not going to be expending a bunch of energy. So I do feel as though there's a window, maybe not late fall, but beginning of fall, where
Yes.
the water temperatures come down from what they were in the summer.
Yep.
And the colder mornings, and those fish are just like piranhas, man. They're out cruising. They want to put on some size and want to eat as much as they can before winter comes. I do believe that's an instinctual response in them. Now, the color part, keying in on a certain color, do I believe it's some of that? Yes. Do I just believe that it's at a certain point where we're just hammering runs with orange collars and catching fish and it just seems that way? I don't know. Maybe there's an element to that. But I have noticed I do have way more hookups with the hot spots and the brighter colors and stuff of that nature than I do just throwing natural patterns during that time. I could be doing something wrong, but from what I've seen, that is they key in on a certain thing.
You could be doing something wrong, but you're clearly doing something right.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing something else right.
that's right. All these things kind of like build up and add up together. And one of those things that I remember hearing was, oh, orange, fall. They just can't resist it. Or the other side of it is they just get so mad at the color. They're aggressive to it. They just want to kick it out of the way, or they want to chase it or whatever. But it's something I heard. I agree with you. I think it could be true. It's more about, we're going to come back to this a lot, but it's confidence in the flies you're using. So if you like that orange color, that's where you go in the fall, then you're going to fish it harder and most likely catch more fish with it. We go to those flies for a reason, whether it's subconscious, and we've naturally associated those colors, those hot spots and collars with the fall season, but they've produced, so there's got to be some validity to it in some capacity. So getting back off colors, I thought that was kind of important. You said the big dogs come out, moving into runs, especially early fall. Honestly, I was thinking about this too. I think most of the big fish I catch are in the fall. Not all. I've caught some early spring, some winter. They're in there, no question. But it almost seems like they've kind of been chilling out in the summer. Maybe they've been moving more at night. And then all of a sudden, those colder temps, better flows come out, and they just get, again, that pre-spawn feed bag, and they just come out.
I think they just take over the run. I think in my head, I look at it like this. The big dogs are letting the little ones have their fun and eat during the summer months. They're not going to expend energy to eat as much. And then fall comes and it's almost like, all right, I rested. This whole run is mine now. Because I will say my numbers go down as far as like how many I catch. Generally, the numbers that you're going to catch are going to go down, but the quality of the fish is going to go up. There are days I'll go out in the fall, only catch 4 or 5, but 3 of those 5 are 16 plus. And they're beefy fish and they got shoulders on them. It's kind of funny, but it's just like, all right, you guys, you can have your fun now. In the fall time, this is mine now. That first initial bite that I get in a run is almost always a quality fish.
To that point, they usually hit quick. You drift through it 15, 20 times, he's probably not in there or not going to eat at that moment. They're going to hit pretty quickly in the first couple casts, drifts, whatever. I think they are kind of like clearing the area, like, get out of my way. This is my time. This is my run. Do you think they also get a little bit, I don't know if stupid's the word, but a little bit more?
They're willing to take more risk.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, I think they do that because of the things we keep saying. They're aggressive, they're hungry, they feel like they have more cover from the higher flows, and I think they take a little more risk in that.
Yeah. Whatever they're doing, they can keep doing it.
I know, man.
I enjoy it.
I'm with you.
I enjoy it.
The colors, I mean, brown trout, brook trout, they're always beautiful, but there is some peak times. And we mostly are hunting brown trout, but if you're ever hunting on a native stream and you pull out a brook trout and it's like fire red on the belly, it's snow white, like icy white on the tips of their fins. Oh my goodness. And it's like a 5-inch fish and you're just mesmerized.
Yep. I take my kids fishing in the fall every year, like that, the yearly trip we do. We go up by the cabin, the run where we used to go fishing on the first day every time we catch nothing on the native stream.
Yep.
And I take them hiking up in there for a while, and then I can only go so long until I find a juicy hole. I'll bust the fly rod out, and I catch beautiful native brookies. And I'm trying to show the kids, and they don't know what they're looking at. They're just like, oh, great, it's another fish you caught. Like you said, I'll sit there and stare at it, and I'm like, man, that thing's awesome. And they're like, Dad, it's small. I'm like, yeah. Well, I like it. Be quiet. This is a nice fish.
Yeah, you're catching
pictures of it. They're like, is that the bait?
Yeah, you're catching dinks. What are you doing?
Yeah. You're talking all this big fish stuff, and here you are catching 5-inchers.
And it blows my mind because then you look at the back of the trout, especially a brook trout with that like vermilion patterns. It's crazy how lit up they are on the sides and the bellies and the fins. But you look at them down in the water on their back, and they're freaking invisible.
Can't see them, yep.
It's insane. It's honestly one of my favorite parts about trout. They're like a saltwater fish with that vibrancy that they can have in their colors in fresh water. But then the backs of them are absolutely flawless and fit in with their surroundings so well. I mean, how many times have you looked in a creek and you don't see any, and then finally you see one and you're like, oh, wow, okay, there was one. And then there's a dozen there and you're like, whoa. And they were there the whole time. It's awesome.
And even the ones that are stockies, they're raised in a hatchery in a cement raceway. You go out the first day of trout, we fish stock streams, and maybe you catch one, and then you'll start seeing them. Oh, there's one. Wow, there's another one. Wow, there's 10 more. Once you see them, you can see them.
Yeah.
But until then, it takes one of them to turn, and then you're like, oh, there's one.
Yeah, yes. A little belly flash, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially those stocked rainbows. You just need a little shimmer.
Yeah.
So even those, they can blend in insanely well.
The thing that I don't think it's talked about either, because like you said, they can blend in and stuff. But I know I've fished areas where, say, it's not very well lit. There's not a lot of sunlight. It's a deep, dark hole. You catch a fish, and they're jet black on top.
Yeah.
Like, their back is jet black.
Yeah.
It's almost chameleon-like. They're sitting at the bottom of this dark hole, for whatever the reason. They can adapt that, because they don't go in looking like that.
No, right? I agree. They look like they've been just sitting in that hole deep down in the depths for ages. It is incredible.
So I was going to wait till later to throw this in, but I'm going to throw it in now. I keep having it on my mind.
All right.
Fall fishing, your senses are heightened. Everything looks better. Everything feels better. You're getting more excited. Like I said, I'm going to start having a shot at some better quality browns. And I know in a month or two, I'm going to be hunting steelhead, which is, gets me fired up.
Absolutely.
My favorite thing to do in the fall on any stream, there's people around. I can get away from them by walking, but usually my access points and right around my access points, there's a lot of people.
For sure.
My favorite thing to do, and this might be a hot take, and you've seen me do it, all those rock stacks, I kick them right over, dude.
Yeah.
I'll go out at the beginning of my thing and I just hoss every single rock stack I see. All those people do all that work all summer, and I go and I just kick them right over. I just smash them. And honestly, it makes me so happy. For whatever reason, it just annoys me.
Gotta save the hellbenders, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I've seen you kick them. I didn't know you took that much pride and enjoyment out of it. It's like Christmas morning for you. You're like, how many rack stacks can I go kick over?
Next time you talk to my son, ask him, we go out, Dad, can I kick that rock stack over? You're damn right. Go kick it. Smash it.
You're damn
You shouldn't be doing that. You're just messing them with natural habitat. It doesn't need to be messed with. I don't think people are doing it knowing what they're doing. I think it's just a thing that they do.
Yeah, they have no clue.
They don't understand, right?
They have no clue, yeah. I think to your point, both sides of it, they can build it, you can knock it over.
Yeah. You didn't cement it.
And it's public land. It's if they have the right to build it, we have the right to knock it over. And not even from like a spiteful thing, just it is what it is. And we are a little bit more invested in Pennsylvania, nature and things like that.
The natural habitat.
It's proven that the hellbender salamander of Pennsylvania lives in those environments of those rocks, and you're not supposed to stack them. You're not supposed to do it. But if you do it, it doesn't really bother me.
See, that's the thing. It bothers me. I try not to let it, but it does bother me.
Well, if there's a bunch of them, that would bother me. But if I see one, I'm just like, oh, whatever. It doesn't annoy me.
But usually after the summer, right, we all take breaks because water temperatures are too high. So if I don't go out for a month or so, and then I go out after all the summer, all the holidays where people are gathering around and doing stuff. Sometimes I'll look down the bank of the creek and you just see 10 of them. I just make sure I fish that way so that I can knock all 10 over.
So you can, like bowling, you're looking for the strike.
Yeah. For sure.
This is so off topic, but what is your opinion if someone puts a whole rock row and dams up a part of a creek?
I was just going to ask you that. That's hilarious because I was literally about ready to ask you that.
Yeah.
That, I guess it all depends on where it's at, right? If it's off to the side, right off the bank, and maybe it's all a little stagnant in that area anyway, whatever. But I've also had on some smaller streams where people are trying to dam up directly across the creek and dam up the whole thing, which causes a stagnant pool behind it where there's less oxygen and it messes everything up. So those irritate me too. And if I have time, if I can make one or two moves and ruin it, I will. But if it's something that you can tell somebody spent a whole weekend on, I just walk away angry. Because it's like, I guess it all depends on how much time I have to fish too. So if I don't have much time, I'm not going to spend all my time ripping down someone's dam, but eventually I'll get it.
Yeah.
But when you start messing with the natural flow of the stream in its entirety, that's when that's when I start interjecting myself. And that is like the old man in me now. When I was a kid, I used to look at that stuff and be like, cool. And now I'm like, that stuff doesn't have any place on this creek. I can't be doing that.
Old man curmudgeon.
Yeah, those hoodlums.
It actually annoys me more than the rock stacking. I don't know why. Yeah, if it's off to the side, whatever. And it does depend. If it's a creek that is known for fishing, it annoys me more. There's just something about you damming up the creek on public land. I don't know. It bothers me. I don't ever knock them over. To your point, I've never knocked a dam over. Maybe I should, but there's something about them where I'm just like, man, that's...
Listen, that's why I have kids now, because now you can tell your kids to be like, hey, go rip that dam down. They'll do it for you. My son does it all the time. Hey, buddy, see all those rocks over there? Put those back in the water.
Let them breathe.
Yeah.
All right, Dad, I got you. I like that.
I take pride in preserving the areas in which I fish because I want to be able to fish them for a long time. So when that first trip out in the fall is like a spot check and you can see trash left behind. It's almost like a culmination of things because it's like, all right, well, you're going to leave your stuff behind. This is going to ruin it for me or the next guy, right? And then you see trash and then you see the manipulation that's been done to the area in which you fish. And I don't own it. It's not mine. It's not my right to say it, but I take pride in keeping it as pristine as I can. Usually spot check and looking around, all right, what was left behind. I start picking stuff up. And I do that all year, but
fill your net on the way out at least. What you brought up was well said. I want to be in a stream that feels untouched. I think that's kind of a good summary of it. If I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I'm on this journey, whatever that journey is, and I'm out there and all of a sudden there's this big man-made thing
that wasn't there 2 months ago.
Right, exactly. And it shouldn't be there. But probably overthinking it. I like the kicking rock towers.
I'm telling you, dude, if you're listening and you build rock towers and I come near it, it's getting knocked over. That's a guarantee.
If you're listening, that's a PSA, everyone.
You're a rock stacker in Central PA anywhere, 99% chance I've knocked your stuff over. So just know all that hard work you put in, I ripped it down. But
at least they can take solace knowing they made your day.
Yeah.
They put a smile on your face.
They made me angry for a minute, but then also made me happy right after.
Right. You release tension and
Right.
balanced out nature and your own equilibrium, and it's all gravy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's messing with my chi, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You're cheating.
So if we're getting back into like tactics and things that kind of amp up in the fall, let's bring it to the streamer bite.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I do want to talk about streamer bite, and then we can maybe get into the discussion on reds and where they're moving and things like that, because that streamer bite kind of has something to do with protecting the red or just getting their feedback on, like you said. So yes, when you think of fall streamer bite, where do you go? Because we know from before you're a jig streamer guy. How are you switching that up? What are you doing different? Are you away from the jig streamer? If you are a jig streamer, is it different colors? Are you thinking about that idea of the hot spot, the collars, the orange, the aggression? And if you are going regular streamer, what kind of size profile are you going?
So I would say that my streamer game never changes based on the season, right? I always use olive and black. I have some more natural colors, like lighter colors, but the fall I will start throwing on a little bit of more tinsel in my pattern, just a little bit of sparkle, not a lot. I don't do a lot. I'm not a big flashy guy. Now, if the water's really dirty, I will throw acrylics on. I have gold and silver mainly in those.
What's acrylics? Because not everyone knows what you mean.
So acrylics jig, to just make it simple, it's very, very tough tinsel. So it's like,
Okay.
it comes in a variety of colors, but I tie it the same as I would tie like a woolly bugger, I guess. There's some variation to it, obviously. The profile I'm trying to mimic is a minnow, so I have a probably 4-inch total. No, probably 3 inches more likely total. I don't tie them very big, and it's all flash. It's all sparkly tinsel. It's just a tougher.
It's like stiffer, right?
Yeah, it's like stiff tinsel.
Yeah.
And I use those, again, when the water's really dirty or really off color. I bust out acrylics is usually for when I get a little more flash when the water gets dirty. But as far as my streamer tactics, like I will say that I always fish it the same as I would the spring. I'll catch them in the heather runs and the fast stuff. Not as much, right?
I find that I'm usually more middle tail in the fall, a little bit slower. Still kind of moving up through the column. The big ones are probably moving around, but I like to hit the tail a little bit harder. Do you find that you work all the same head, middle, tail, or do you work any of those sections a little bit harder in the fall?
I will say the middle to the tail of the run is where I'll spend a majority of my time. I'll slow it down. I'll always experiment with a fast retrieve to just try and get some reactionary bites if I can get any. But I fish all my streamers on my tight line rig. So if I don't get any bites like that, I go right to dead drifting and just very, very subtle twitches. And then once I get to the tail end of my swing, I'll give it a couple jerks and pauses, and then I'm back in. I dead drift it down, twitch it, and then again, tail end of the run, I'll jig it a couple times, let it pause, and then just get it back. But I will say I find more success in the middle to the end of the run in the fall, more so than in the spring. Again, I will catch them in the heavy stuff. It does happen. I fish it all, even in the winter, dude. Like, even though I know the fish are going to primarily be in this section of the run, I'm still going to go up to the head of that run and be like, you know what, there is a chance that I just love that water.
Yeah.
Even though I don't have much success doing it in the wintertime and when it gets cold, I still do it because I like fishing that type of water. And, the 1 or 2 times that I do come away with success, I'm like, oh, it was worth it. See, they'll be in there sometimes.
I agree. They are in there sometimes.
Catch them moving at the right time. But primarily they're going to hang out in the middle to the tail end and the deeper stuff, the calmer stuff.
That head of that water, if it's a deeper run, it can be a lot slower underneath. Or there's a rock down there that they're nosing and they're chilling. They can be in there, no question. I'm with you. I like to head towards the middle and the tail and hit that a little harder in the fall into the winter, but they just might be conserving energy a little bit more.
Even though the environment changes, and if you fish long enough, you know that those fish are going to navigate to the tail end of the run because they don't want to be hanging out in the fast stuff to waste their energy, right?
So I want to circle back a little bit, still on the streamer topic, but earlier you mentioned early fall for the aggression, the movement, and the reactionary strikes. And I think that's important. I believe there is a point where that streamer bite does die off. There's a window. and they are more active. It's a really good tactic to kind of go for that early fall bite. Do you think there's a window? You find they're more aggressive and more active at a certain point early?
There's definitely a sweet spot. There's definitely going to be a peak where you're going to hit that. But once they get all that feeding in and once they've done their thing, you definitely hit a wall. I've already had it where I go out on a Friday, kill it, right? I go out 2 days later and I'm like, what happened? And you're still catching them here and there, but there's a definite wall that you hit that it's like, okay, these tactics are not producing anymore. I'm a big run and gun guy and I'm a big attack the stream hard and fast. And then there becomes a time where I'm maybe passing over a lot of opportunities here. I need to slow down, change up my tactics, fish a little slower, change up my flies, maybe go smaller or single fly. I've been experimenting with single fly too. So I will do that in the fall as well. It's not my favorite thing, but I've had some decent success on it.
There's a saying, it's like the fall streamer bite. That's not something that I'm making up. There's a time where it's like, oh, that fall streamer bite's going to be on. You have a shot to hit this window, and they're aggressive, they're active. But then, yeah, it can fizzle out, and it's more transitioning into that winter mode, hitting riffles slower, drifting slower, maybe going heavier weight, slowing that drift, and starting to get more in their line, right? They're going to move less and transition from that aggressive streamer bite, and then they're moving into that spawning mode where they're going to start hunkering down and slowing down.
It's a lot like the hopper window on the stream I fish. It's usually a solid 2 weeks where every morning I can go out, throw on a hopper, and kill it. And then all of a sudden you go out and maybe you only get one boil or you get none. And then you're like, oh, well, that's over now. It's almost like they've had their fill. Okay, I've been fooled enough by that. I'm good. I've eaten enough of it.
That's a good point, because you're right. There is a specific window for that hopper bite, and it is fun. We talk about this every year. I always ask you, did you get out for the hopper bite?
I missed it this year. The time the hoppers were around, we were getting no rain, and the creeks were low, and the water was warm.
Yeah, timing stuff.
I could have gone out and caught some, but at that point, I'm probably killing fish. We didn't have all the right elements to it for it to happen.
But man, when it is on, it's boiling. And they're just smacking hoppers. Yep. It's awesome.
Dude, catching like a 6-inch wild brown on a 2 or 3 inch giant hopper, like
it's awesome.
It's awesome.
It is. The way they smack hoppers consistently for a couple weeks, hundreds of trout, dozens. It's a lot. I've never seen anything like it anywhere else in this state. Again, it's all seasonal, situational, but it's rare. It's awesome. And I don't think, does anyone know about it?
No. And literally, dude, on that creek, it's specifically that section. So I'll go stream, and I'll still have a couple hits here and there, and I'll catch some because I'll fish hopper dropper all the way up through, the section I fish. I'll fish that all the way up through. And I might, after I get out of that section, the takes go down more than half. I don't know what it is on those banks, what makes the hoppers so prolific there. And I don't know what it is about that section that makes the fish love it, but whatever it is, I'm fine with it because it's one of the more fun days you'll have on a creek. But, I would argue that a hopper fishing is probably the most fun I've had trout fishing.
That hopper bite is insane. It is one of the most fun times I've ever had trout fishing. You know what's even cooler about it? Two things I was thinking about. You don't even have to be that good of a fly fisher because they're just smashing stuff so much. So you can just have a great time whether you're that good of a caster or not. And my other point was they're like everywhere. They're in the 6-inch water. They're in the 18-inch riffle. They're everywhere.
Yeah, you throw a hopper on anywhere in that section and more than likely you're going to get a take.
Yes.
And when you asked who knows about it, I'm sure other people have caught it, but the only people that have seen it with me are probably you and my dad.
Yeah, good way to.
I don't think anybody else has caught it with me before, other than you.
It's awesome. All right, let's get back to the fall. What do you think? So as we're getting into fishing eggs and trout are starting to clear out some reds and get into that spawning mode, how do you approach spawning? How do you approach reds? Do you just kind of avoid them if you see them and then just move on? What's your thought?
The unfortunate thing is, like, you know what you're looking for, you know what they look like, and you know to avoid them. But there are times where I miss them. You know what I mean? I'll be going up through a run, and then I'll get to a certain section where now I'm even with the red and I can see it. I'll just move, right? If I can avoid it, if I walk up and I see it right away, I'll get away from it. But there are times where it's unavoidable, where you stuck a fish, and then for whatever reason, a lot of times you don't see them. But at all costs, if I can, I avoid them. That's going to be the new breed for my stream and for years to come. And I want to keep them as relaxed as possible. But obviously, there are times where stuff happens, mistakes happen, or again, you just don't notice it right away. You know, you got to be more aware in the fall. You got to be aware that this is happening. With all that good action and those good bites, you have to know in the back of your head the reason that that's happening is because something else is getting ready to happen. So you have to be aware of that, you know, at all times. Don't beat yourself up if it does happen. If you stumble upon a red, or maybe you fish a spot and then you notice a red, like, just get out of there. Don't pester them and leave them do their thing.
I think you're right. Unfortunately, it's inevitable. A lot of people are fishing a new stream or a new section and they don't know.
Or people just don't have a lot of time to get out. Like, if it's your only time to get out,
Exactly.
they're just thinking, oh, I finally get to fish, I'm going to fish.
Not even thinking about spawning at all, just fishing. I think, and you said it well, try to be on the lookout if you can put it on your radar. And if it's a stream, you know, odds are you're going to kind of learn where they do a lot of their spawning and building their red. It's going to be more gravel based. It's going to be a specific environment, but just do your best and just don't fish on them. If you see one on a red, number one, don't fish at it intentionally. And if you see a red, walk around it. Try to avoid them if you can. But yeah, don't beat yourself up. Stuff happens out there. Whether the water's cloudy, whether you haven't been out.
You could not walk on a red the rest of your life. The unfortunate thing, we have a period where it's going to be low and clear. Those reds are visible. If they're visible to me and you, they're visible to eagles and other predators, right? So it's going to happen. But if you can prevent it yourself, then just do your best to do that, you know?
Good point. I agree. So fall fishing, steelhead, what do you think?
I think that a lot of the same stuff you're using in the fall, like, is going to be in your steelhead box. For me, anyway. My Rainbow Warriors, however many variations of those I have, hot collar stuff, sparkly stuff, my eggs, right? A lot of that same stuff that I use on a regular trout stream in the fall is going to be my arsenal for steelhead. So the fall is almost just getting you in that mode of using those patterns, and it almost builds your confidence in those patterns going into the steelhead season. So you can fish steelhead for, you know, a plethora of months, but for us, we key in on the 3-4 months in the winter that we can get out. Fall fishing brings that, you know, it's on the horizon, and that just gets me re-excited. And like you said, it's like a new season. It just gets me amped up again, you know, kind of just reinvigorates me. I get more time on the vise. I get more time to, you know, making sure my stuff's ready for steelhead season. But yeah, what's that transition from fall to, all right, we're getting into steelhead season?
So I'm with you from like the mental standpoint. Once we hit September, especially October, I love getting into fall trout mode, but it is in the back of my head. I'm like, steelhead season is right around the corner. To your point, a lot of my flies are the same. I might go slightly bigger depending on the pattern, or I might go heavier. I'll put a bigger bead on it from a 3 to a 3.3 or a 4. So I think it's a lot of the same stuff, just size up a little bit and go a little bit heavier. And it's kind of cool because I'm tying up and I'm usually doing 2-3 sizes of everything anyway. So kind of get in that zone. I will say I have hotspots and collars in most of my steelhead stuff, but I go a little bit more simple, not quite as gaudy. Some of the Warriors and some of my other variations, they're just a little bit flashier than maybe what I would use regularly. Like some of my pheasant tails aren't super flashy, but I still use those flies for steelhead and catch them.
Your patterns get simpler.
Yes. Yes.
Because we're tying a ton of them because you know you're going to lose them. So I definitely simplify things as much as I can. You can only simplify it so much. But I think even going bigger makes it simpler, right? Because there's just less tedious little things, tying 16s. But being able to sit on the vise and bang out some 12s, some 10s that are just beefy flies that you can just get them done real quick.
It's a really good point.
I look at it like art to me. I kind of make it my own thing. I want to add this to a pattern. I want to add a little bit of this. For me, when it comes time to steelhead, I'm like, I need to tie 20 of these tonight. So I'll maybe leave this part out or maybe leave a little detail out. It saves me a matter of seconds on each pattern, but to me, I just need to crank these out because you know you're going to go through it. Like you're hooking up to fish like that, the quality of those fish and the amount of horsepower they have behind them, like you're gonna lose stuff. you lose stuff on a trout stream, but like you go into steelhead knowing like I'm going to lose a lot of this stuff. And there are times where you don't, where it's just like, damn, I only went through 5 flies today. I lose a lot of stuff all the time.
I go in with like 50 new flies for a steelhead trip, and I've had times where I've lost like 6 all weekend, where it's just going right. You're like, "Ooh, this is crazy. My box is still full." But there's been times I've burnt through 30 flies easily in a weekend, and that's breaking fish off. That's snagging on rocks.
They run you past a rock and fray your line.
Yep, they're 8, 10, 12-pound fish, and trout know exactly where they want to go and how to get off.
Because they know exactly where to go
Sure.
to screw you over. So it's like, I think about the time where I know I think you'll remember the exact fish when there was only literally one like log in the water, like one little branch in the water, and the fish jumped over top of it and snapped you off on the back. And there was like a giant wide open. We didn't hook it anywhere near that log.
Yep.
And then there's one little branch hanging down in the water off the bank, and that thing wraps you up over it, jumps over it, snaps your line. Like out of anywhere it could have went. It shows right there, and it goes. He knew what he was doing. Like, watch this snap.
But let's do a wrap up, and we'll call it. So yeah, man. So when we as we got into fall fishing, talking about some of the key points, the aggressive strikes, patterns, colors, all of it kind of comes together for us, leads into that winter fishing, that steelhead mindset as well. Anything you kind of want to wrap up with as we're closing it out here on fall fishing? That switch over, that mindset, that mentality.
If you're a current fly fisherman and maybe you don't fish in the fall as much, or maybe you're just like kind of a springtime guy, and maybe you just don't really know like what the fall has to offer, like just get out there and experience it. The stream looks different. The scenery's better. The calmness of the stream, everything seems more at peace. Get out there, experience what the fall bite has to offer. Put yourself in a situation where you can experience that. It just offers something different. It feels different. And really, until you've done it, or if you know what I'm talking about, then you get it.
It is the primer for steelhead season. We kind of mentioned this. Don't get discouraged about not catching fish or struggling or only catching one in the fall. We both kind of agree numbers seem to go down, but you can go out there and enjoy some of those other things. Maybe you only catch a fish, but test out that different mindset. Throw a streamer on, see if you can get fish to react for that early fall bite, but embrace it. Enjoy the time. Pennsylvania is absolutely insane in autumn and fall, and then hopefully catch fish too. And it's such an underrated time to fish. It is absolutely great fishing, but you get so much more with it on top of that in terms of the scenery, the quietness, the lack of people, the crowds are way down, like you said.
Right, for sure. And when you start trout fishing, it's April, May, and maybe in a little bit in the summer, and then it's over. But you kind of have to convince yourself to do it. But once you do it, you're like, man, I wish it was like this all the time. And again, you might not have the success you had in April if you're a beginner, right? If you stay persistent, you will find it. You will key in on it. It only takes, like you said, one.
Yeah, I'm with you. Even like a 12-inch colored up brown, that bright yellow, those crispy white fins, like we were talking about with the brook trout, man, it's magical.
Yeah, everything seems like a painting. The fish, the scenery, it feels like you're fishing in a painting.
I love it. I'm with you. It is.
As an art man, you should appreciate that.
I do. Again, the color of the fish, the leaves, it all kind of comes together. It gives me balance, gives me that peace. And that's even before you hook into a fish. And then you do hook into one and you put one in the net. And you ever just like land that fish? You're on your knees, you're in the water, the fish is in the net. You just take it in. It's just awesome. Especially in those moments where you have that colored up brown and there's maybe some colored up leaves next to it in the water. And you're just like, this is it.
And there's a feeling I get, and you probably know what I'm talking about. When that moment happened, you're almost like, I wish somebody was here to see this, but I'm glad nobody else is here.
Yeah, well said. You get to enjoy that moment more personally, and sometimes you don't even pull that phone out for the picture or whatever. You literally just kind of absorb the release of the fish from your hand into the water, watching it swim away, and you take a deep breath, and then you get back in that riffle, and you You go for it again. It's pretty awesome. That's why we do it. And that's why we love fall fishing.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. Episode 3, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Fall fishing, the switchover, that mindset of summer to fall, and then into that winter bite and that steelhead hunt. And then, so yes, everyone, we're going to start making that transition into the steelhead season. So episodes are going to start shifting more focus on steelhead. We're going to hit a lot of different topics, even highlights when we get into some trips and things like that, and kind of go over it. So tactics, gear, approach. We're gonna start jumping into that. So tune in every 2 weeks, y'all. We got a new episode dropping every Wednesday. So thanks for tuning in. And Zach, always a pleasure, man. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.